The Precariousness of the Human Psyche, lecture given by Samael Aun Weor in Guadalajara, Mexico, October 28, 1975. Inferential piece. There have been some marvellous, extraordinary artistic performances here tonight. The last of these alludes in an emphatic way to the liberation of man. From this platform of eloquence, my very sincere congratulations to the Gnostic brothers who have performed this entire drama. I must also thank the student music group for their wonderful chords with which they have entertained us tonight. Limiting ourselves precisely to the drama that you have just contemplated here on this stage, I will give a short but clear and concise talk. Certainly inside each person, as you have seen allegorized here, there are many persons. Precisely, this belongs to the revolutionary psychology. Soon, my work entitled Treatise of Revolutionary Psychology will be in circulation. In the name of truth, we must recognize that we do not have a defined individuality. I say clearly that many persons live inside each person. This could be rejected by the fanatics of the materialistic dialectics, but it could never be rejected by truly intelligent men. Anger, greed, lust, envy, pride, laziness, gluttony, with all their ramifications, constitute ultimately a series of successive I's that live within us here and now. Within us there is currently no authentic individuality. No one is the same even for half an hour. If I thought that one of you is the same for half an hour, obviously I would not only be abusing you, but moreover, and what is worse, I would also be abusing myself. Thus, we do not have an authentic individuality. The I that today swears eternal love to a woman is later displaced by another I that has nothing to do with that oath. The I that today swears eternal love to a cause is later displaced by another I that has nothing to do with that. Many times I have said that our Gnostic movement is a moving train. Some passengers get on at one station and get off at another. Rare is the one who makes it to the final station. It is that in reality and in truth, people do not have a permanent centre of gravity. There are many persons within each person. This also explains the doctrine of the many. This also explains in an emphatic way the multiple contradictions that occur within our psyche. If we could look at ourselves in a full-length mirror just as we are, we would go crazy. We are full of terrible contradictions. As soon as we affirm something, we deny it. As soon as we befriend someone, we become their enemies. As soon as we get excited about a business, we tear it apart. We do not have continuity of purposes. Sometimes we say, I am going to study medicine or law, and then we regret it. We say, no, I am not interested in medicine anymore. I will see what else I can study. Sometimes we say, I am going to soldier in the Gnostic ranks. I am going to work for the revolution of the consciousness. Unfortunately, a drink is given to us, or a person of the other sex shows up on our path and the house of cards collapses, or someone offers us the possibility of obtaining a lot of money and running a good business, and then the magnificent intentions that we had get destroyed. I have seen on the path of Gnosis many who were listening to us 15, 20, 25, and even 30 years ago. Suddenly they disappeared, and when they are old they return saying, I am going to be a Gnostic. I want to continue on the path of the revolution of consciousness. I want to fight to liberate myself. Everyone comes and goes. There is no permanent centre of gravity. We are true puppets pulled by invisible threads. Each one of our eyes, as you have seen here on stage, controls us by means of invisible threads. It has been said that Mary Magdalene had 7 demons inside her, and that Jesus, the great Kabir, took them out of her body. These are the 7 deadly sins. This does not mean that there are not many other eyes. Virgil, the poet of Mantua, said, even if we had 100 tongues to speak and a palate of steel, we would not finish enumerating all of them completely. This is how innumerable our defects are. So what you have seen performed on stage tonight has a true reality. The doctrine of the many affirms that we do not have an individual I, but many I's. There is the I love, the I hate, I am jealous, I have rancor, I have resentments, I have lust, I am going to take revenge, I am a merchant, I need money, etc. All those multiple I's fight within us. They fight for supremacy. Each one of them fights to be the master, the best one, the Lord. We truly resemble a house full of many servants, where each one of them feels that he is the master. None of them feels small. Each one wants to be in charge. So where is our true reality? Which is our authentic individuality? Tonight's scene has been clear, objective for those who are truly willing to comprehend. The consciousness is the worthiest thing that we have inside us. Unfortunately, it is imprisoned, bottled up, crammed in between all of those eyes that dwell within us. Now you will understand why people have the consciousness asleep. However, everyone thinks they are awake. If those present here truly realized that they are asleep, they would cease to be machines. They would become awakened creatures. Some time ago I saw an unusual event in the middle of the street in the Federal District. I want to refer to a young man who worked in Light and Power, an electric company. The man was coming down the street serenely when passing near a building located on the corner. A piece of material that was part of the cornice fell like lightning on his head. The man in fact lost consciousness. He was seen lying on the ground, depleted, likely almost dead. His colleagues picked him up while dying and took him away. This is nothing amazing, is it? This matter of someone getting hit by a piece of falling cornice from an old building and knocking him down in the middle of so many people, it seems normal. It is a matter of accident, and truly this is nothing new. The novelty is not this. No, my dear Gnostic brothers, the novelty is with the crowd of thousands of people who gathered under the ruins of that building to look up. Many of them stood below, exactly below the piece of cornice, in a position to look up, vertically. This is why I was amazed. Therein lies the state of unconsciousness in which humanity finds itself. I also remember something extraordinary about 20 years ago. It happened while I was in a market called Mercado Gomez in the Federal Colony in the district. A dynamite store suddenly exploded. Many objects were seen flying in the air. It seemed as if the earth had shaken. Dust, ruins, desolation. Women with their little children were running through the market. The merchants abandoned their stalls without caring about the money or the merchandise. Then something extraordinary happened. The firemen arrived, good servants of humanity, the smoke eaters, as we always call them, eager to give their very last drop of blood for their fellow men. For that is how those forbearing men are, who truly sacrifice themselves for the people. When I saw them arriving in their vehicles, ringing the sirens and their bells, I could only exclaim, out of all those who are now going into the place of the explosions, not one will come out alive. No sooner said than done. The second explosion came and those men disintegrated atomically. They were never found. The only thing that could be found was the boot of a sergeant. Certainly their merit, their courage was highly praised. They truly deserve it. But there is something else. There is no doubt that these men were asleep. Yes, their consciousness was profoundly asleep. If it had been awakened, it would not have occurred to them to go inside a dynamite store. Thus the poor people are asleep, and unfortunately they have the consciousness bottled up among all those eyes that we carry within us, and that personify our defects. We are poor machines controlled by invisible threads. Those eyes have us in their clutches. This is how the show has been presented tonight in such a clear and wonderful way. Many times in the infinite cosmos there is some catastrophe. It may be the case that one planet collides with another, and then the cosmic forces of that catastrophe reach Earth, touch the human machines, harm them, and millions of human beings launch themselves into war against millions of human beings, raising flags, slogans, saying, "I will fight for freedom, for democracy, etc." There are millions of machines fighting against millions of machines, all unconscious, all asleep. They do not realize that what happened is that they have been harmed, touched by electric currents of extremely high voltage. And what shall we say about this Solionensius? It happens that sometimes the Balia Utu sun approaches our solar system. When that happens, our solar system reacts tremendously. It puts into action a great electric force, an extreme high voltage, and the whole Earth, so to speak, receives a voltage of extraordinary forces. As a sequence or corollary, the unconscious human machines, without knowing what to do, without feeling moral responsibility of any kind, throw themselves into great revolutions. This is how the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 broke out. So what happened? The Tsar and the Tsarina were sacrificed, and the head of the Tsar, impaled on a spike, was exhibited on the streets of Moscow. Similar Solionensius occurred in ancient Egypt. Between the dynasties, there were these Solionensius, and people launched themselves violently against their rulers. We can still remember the unusual case of one of those revolutions of blood and liquor. The people, during the Solionensius, killed all the governors, and their bodies were tied by an iron cable, a macabre chain that was then tied to a few bulls and thrown into the Nile. The violent Solionensius brought about another similar case. Then, in order to name a new ruler, a barbarian system was established. It was demanded that the man who had the highest number of human eyes in a giant jar could become pharaoh. And of course, think of how many victims, how many people were left without their dear eyes. There were unusual cases between one dynasty and another. This was always due to the Solionensius. And what can we say about the French Revolution? Millions of people perished in it. The heads of Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI fell. The guillotine did not respect anyone, not even Guillotine, the macabre inventor of that horrifying weapon. Not even Robespierre, who had wanted to make an extraordinary revolution. That macabre man had to climb the scaffold, and wrote on the scaffold stone with his own blood, Credo in unum diem. The French Revolution would have never broken out if there had not been a Solionensius. What can we also say about the sunspots? We know quite well that these happen periodically. It was some sunspots that provoked the 1914 to 1918 war. It was the sunspots clearly seen from all the observatories of the world that made people so restless and so desperate that it led them to the battles of the Second World War. But the people who had the consciousness perfectly asleep, who know nothing about these things, who do not believe in any of these things, fly flags, radiate slogans, fight for democracy, to make a better world, etc. Those people are asleep, they sleep profoundly, and will continue to sleep until they resolve to put an end to all those eyes that personify our mistakes, and that we carry inside ourselves here and now. We think that we are individuals when we are just machines. We never accept to be treated as machines. We cannot accept others thinking that we are asleep. We feel awake, very awake, but in truth we are asleep. Now you will understand why the Christ there on the Calvary exclaimed, "My Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." If those who crucified him had been awakened, you can be absolutely sure that he would not have been crucified. What awakened person would dare to crucify the Lord of Glory? What awakened person would dare to poison, for example, the Gautami, Sakyamuni, the Buddha? What awakened person would have dared to bring poison to Milarepa, that powerful initiate from eastern Tibet? Only those asleep are capable of those things. Continuing with these disquisitions, I say it is necessary to awaken. First of all, we have to accept the doctrine of the many. I do not want to force you today to accept that doctrine in a dogmatic way. I only want to invite you to accept it by means of an in-depth analytical reflection. It is enough to understand that we are full of terrible contradictions. It is enough to know that we are not the same, not even for half an hour. We ourselves realize our contradictions, but we patch them up by trying to make mental juggles with the aim of self-deceiving. If we accept our contradictions, if we accept that we say one thing in one moment and another in another moment, that today we swear love and tomorrow we hate, we would frankly end up crazy. That is why we prefer to deceive ourselves and to come up with very lucid phrases such as, well, 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 I already reflected on it. Well, I already thought that it is better not this way. It's better to do it the other way, etc. This is how we self-deceive. Yes, the thing is that I am very reflective. Yes, it's just that by analysing things I think it's better that this way and not that way, as I had originally thought. What a silly little way of self-deceiving, right? Where is our individuality? Today we promise something and tomorrow we promise something else. Today we say one thing and tomorrow another. What continuity of purpose do we truly have? Within us live many persons, many ghosts of ourselves, many eyes. Each one of those eyes is a complete person by itself. That is, many persons inhabit the human body. The I hate, the I love, the I envy, the I have jealousy, the I have lust, etc. There are also prestidigitator eyes, who are capable of making noises, sounds, raising tables, juggling of all kinds. This is well known to specialists in practical magic in the experimental type of psychism. But if we do not analyse ourselves, if we do not reflect upon the doctrine of the many, if we merely reject it just like that, if we do not open ourselves up to the new, then no change will be possible. When we accept the doctrine of the many, it is possible for us to change. When we accept the doctrine of the many, we are really determined to eliminate those many that live inside us in order to liberate the consciousness and radically awaken. First of all, it is necessary to accept the doctrine of the many. It is precisely in practical life where we can discover ourselves. Practical life is a wonderful psychological gymnasium where we can self-discover in relation to our fellow men, with our friends, in relation to our co-workers, at home, in the office. If we are alert and vigilant as a sentry in times of war, we can self-discover. Discovered defect must be properly judged, analysed, studied, and then dissolved, disintegrated. Observation, judgment, and execution are the three phases of work to put to an end all those eyes that we carry within and which essentially torture us. It has been said that the spies in war, first they are discovered, second they are judged, and third they are taken to the firing squad. In this way we must proceed with those eyes that we carry inside us. First discover them in relation to our fellow men, second study them, third disintegrate them. When we have already discovered an eye, it is worth analysing it, but for the process of disintegration we need a force that is superior to the mind. The mind by itself cannot eliminate any defect, it cannot alter it radically. The mind can only pass the defects from one level to another, hide them from itself or others, justify them, etc., but it cannot fundamentally alter them. We need to eradicate the psychological defects from our psyche, and this is only possible by appealing to a power that is superior to the mind. Tonight, here on stage, the Divine Mother has appeared. In the scene we saw how Adam moans, begs, asks the Divine Mother to disintegrate this or that psychological defect, and she comes with her spear and pierces the error. She turns it into cosmic dust. This is how we must proceed. That Divine Mother of whom all religions speak, God Mother, exists within ourselves, here and now. It is necessary to appeal to that adorable mother. It is necessary to beg her to help us. She can, with her magnificent power, eliminate from our psyche the defects that we have first observed and second judged. It is necessary to observe first and then to judge before begging the Divine Mother to eliminate this or that psychological eye from within ourselves. If we wanted to disintegrate the eyes based on pure analysis, we would not achieve it. We need to use the power of the Divine Mother. She is part of our own inner divine, sublime being, and if we invoke her with purity of heart, she will assist us. So this is the obvious path to follow for the disintegration of the eyes, as within each of them there is a percentage of consciousness. As we are disintegrating them, the consciousness bottled up there will liberate itself. And when the totality of the eyes has been disintegrated, when the sinful Adam can raise his sword high to shout, "Long live liberation," as it was represented here tonight on stage, then the consciousness in its totality will also be liberated, awakened. To have the consciousness awaken is something extraordinary, wonderful. When one has the consciousness awake, one can experience the truth directly, right here and now. When one has the consciousness awake, one can see, hear, touch, and feel the great realities of life and death. When one has the consciousness awake, one can remember one's previous lives. When one has the consciousness awake, one can directly experience that which is real. First of all, we need to experience the truth. Jesus the Christ said, "Know the truth, and it will make you free." Truth is not a matter of theories, nor opinions, nor ideas. An opinion, no matter how respectful it may be, is only an opinion and never the truth. Any idea that we have about the truth is not the truth. Any logical concept that we may forge about the truth is not the truth. The truth must be experienced, like when one puts the finger in the flame and gets burned, or like when one swallows water and drowns. The truth is a matter of direct lived experience, not a matter of theories. Subjective rationalism can build beautiful concepts, but this is not the truth. Two people arguing can speak wonders, so then why don't they agree? Reason can come up with anything. With reason we can make a mountain out of a molehill, or a molehill out of a mountain. So what? Reason can devise marvels. If we listen to two men arguing, one spiritualist and another materialist, the spiritualist can present any doctrine with a wonderful, extraordinary logic, and the materialist, by antithesis, by opposition, can also create a beautiful, analytical, logical, and perfect theory. So what? Which of those two theories, both logical, both structured with basis in a reasoning dialectic, is the truth? Reason can come up with anything. The psychological processes of one and the other can be very judicious and analytical, respectable, and whatever one wants, but that is not the truth. Truth must be experienced, I repeat, like when one puts one's fingers in the fire and gets burned. Know the truth, and it will make you free, said the Christ. Disintegrate the eyes, reduce them to cosmic dust, and the consciousness will remain free and awaken. Then, and only then, can we clearly experience that which is the truth, that which is the real, that which can make us free here and now.